It's going to take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I bless the rains down in Africa. Going to take some time to do the things we never had. Okay, this, of course, are the famous lines from that song Toto by Africa. And there is a fantastic version of, I will post it below, of someone doing it live. But I thought it was, I miss the rains down in Africa. It's, I bless the rains down in Africa. So it feels like maybe he was never there. Like, I don't know why. I read this lyric and I was like, Toto has traveled. I mean, he hasn't traveled. He's never been to Africa because he's just blessing the rains. And you can do that from any. This is not what you came here for. It's never what you came here for. All right. Today we're talking about why these AI agents for sales are not doing so hot. Why there's still this in the future when the models improve. And we're going to talk about it, the reason that the models do so well with engineering. Well, if you think about it, engineering teams have a structured language with which to talk to a computer. And that means that they can collaborate, they can coordinate, they can document, and you can use natural language to describe something because not only is there a process, GitHub, checking things out, reiterating code. The thing about sales and marketing is that language does exist. And that language is ICP, persona, value prop, competition, etc. There are tools, methodologies, and documentation processes to be able to get structured outputs. But the problem is that we have for so long relied on an SDR to say, look, I don't know, you figure it out. And that person has, to varying degrees, mental models in their head of all those things. Now, they may not describe them that way, but you give them inputs. Here's an account. There's a gigantic step in the middle, and then there's an output. But the problem is, unlike engineering, all this stuff, no one is running through the workflows to document this, to run that process, and that's why we're not getting great model performance. Now, this is my next course, Who to Target and What to Say, is literally designed to do this. And so I think that when you look at tools that are released, one way to evaluate them, just like you do with code, show me the output. And that's the email. That might be the marketing campaign, right? The output of all that work, you instantly can smell bullshit. And there is a lot of bullshit. So I think that if you're building an AI sales tool, if you're talking with AI, you need to deploy my framework, creative constraint with context. Now, let me talk about that. The models can be ultra creative, but only when they have context. And that context, by the way, is a structured set of inputs. It's ICP, it's persona, it's competitive market, it's customer quotes, right? There's, I don't know, 5 or 6 of these things. There's not a lot. It has the context. Constraint. Now, the art is in the constraint. Oh, I got a timer going off. The art is in the constraint. So really, what exactly do you want the models to do? Now, we have never had a conversation with SDRs. Now, engineers have this. That's called product management, right? They already define things. Here's exactly what I want the code to do. And they have documented process to create it. And then creative. It can be ultra creative as long as it has the context and it's constrained. Then the models can be creative. And without that, it's farting into the wind. No one's going. I'm not going to take that metaphor to its logical conclusion, but it stinks and everyone knows it. So maybe it's the opposite of farting in the wind. Really, what you need to do, though, is to say, if I was a marketing leader and I had to address this strategy, how would I do it? What are the processes that I would put in place? So my next course is going to address this. I think I have a pricing model sort of worked out here. We're probably going to have 2 plans. I think I'm going to try to lower the cost of the entry plan and then have a price where you get all of my prompts. So, and then that would be a more expensive price. So that's what I'm working on. I think that there is tremendous potential, but the two things that if you want to be able to evaluate bullshit here is to say, what's your process? And if they're like, well, we just, especially, and what these tools will love to say is like, what we do is we take all of the data, we take all the inputs, all the outputs, everything, we mush it in, we use RAG, retrieval augmented generation, and then we like give an answer. It's like, okay, well, fine. I don't believe that'll work, but show me the answer. That because the world's complex, because there's no structure. There's no structure to that answer. It's just like feed it all the same stuff an SDR will do, and then have the SDR invent the creative pattern. That is asking it to create art, not science. And there is a scientific process that you can go about this, and I'm going to document in my next course, but that's how you should think about this. It is Wednesday, January 8th, 2025, and I would like to encourage you to do something you haven't done today. Go eat a new restaurant, walk a new path, read something new.